Welcome to my channel, shavers and shavettes. I hope you're all well. After making my last video about the incredibly disappointing performance of the new Czech Speake No. 88 soap, I decided I better show everybody what the old good stuff looked like. But first, as always, the gear. Brush for today is an old Klenzo boar brush. This is the original boar knot that came with the brush. I don't have too many brushes where the original knot was in good shape to use, but this is one. Razor for today, just the good old classic Micromatic. This version is brass with the open comb. If you haven't picked it up by now, this is my favorite razor, or my favorite line of razors. And of course the soap. This is the original, the old, the good Czech Speake No. 88 that we'll see. So if you missed the previous video, I ordered what was sold to the website as the last remaining discovered pucks of the original Czech Speake, made in Italy. Pretty sure it was made by Velobra. Not 100% on that, but pretty sure. And yeah, it turned out not to be. They'd put the wrong stickers on the soap. But we'll start to look at the difference of the performance, bringing up lather cam here. I messed up on lather cam. I recorded in 1080, where the rest of the video is in 4K. So I had to blow up the video a little bit, and it looks like it got blown up a little bit. But anyway, I'm still playing with lather cam. Let me know if you think it's worth pursuing or not. I like the idea, but if you don't like it, I don't have to put it in. Doesn't make any difference to me. Here we go with my usual lather style. I don't really build the lather in the cup or in the bowl. What I'm focusing on here is just loading my brush with a very thick and very dense gel, almost, if you want to think of it that way. Just a really heavy loading of the soap before I continue. With this one, with this particular brush, being boar and being badger, it does take a little bit longer than, let's say, the Italian barber barrel brush that I used with the new soap. So maybe a little bit longer to load, but there we see what I think is a nice loaded brush. And then the lather itself gets built directly on the face, dipping in the tips of the brush into the water in the sink as needed to, at this point in time, it would be an extremely dry lather. So definitely needs some water. I like to just dip a little bit at a time and creep up on that perfect amount of water. Anyway, to continue the story, if you didn't see the last video, these were sold as some undiscovered pucks found in a warehouse somewhere. They decided to sell them. As it turns out, they are the new pucks that accidentally got the wrong sticker on there. Now, I don't think there was any malice or ill intent by anybody, but I would have hoped they'd have known that it came from the new manufacturer. That just seems really weird for me. Nobody said anything until people started emailing Bull Goose Shaving, which is where I bought that, and Phil looked into it, and sure enough, after some emails, that turned out to be the new soap. The new soap is terrible. Absolutely terrible. This, if Czech Speake, if you're watching, this is directly to you right now. I know they're not going to be watching, but what did you do? Look at the difference between this lather already, even right on the very beginning of preparing the lather. I'm not even done getting it to a point where I'm ready to shave yet. And what we saw in the last video. And Czech Speake, just in case you didn't see the last video, for the very first time ever, I'm going to put a little thingy in the corner that will take you to the previous video so you can see what you've done. Wow. That's all I have to say about that. If you saw the last video, I think at this point already, what are we, just 4.5 minutes into the video? You can already tell there is a huge difference between this, the old soap, and the new soap from the previous video. Now, I'm not a soap snob. I have my preferences just like everyone else. Performance alone on the previous soap, meh, it's a shave soap. It puts at least a little bit of lubrication onto my face to where I'm not scraping off too much skin along with the whiskers. That's the only positive thing I can say about that. These soaps go almost $40 a puck. Now, for a lot of people, that's too much no matter what. And I would tend to agree with you. That's a lot of money for a puck of soap. I really like the number 88 scent. I really like the Oxford and Cambridge scent. I like it so much. And again, Czech and Speake if you're still listening. I saved up for a year so that I could buy the complete set of Oxford and Cambridge, the soap, the aftershave, the cologne, for my wedding day. I break it all out. I use the entire set every year on my anniversary, so hopefully it's going to last a really long time because I will not buy any more of your soap. It is what it is. I would love to think that they're going to pull a florist and realize what they've done and improve the soap. Now, that probably can't happen for quite a long time. I don't know the legal side of being a company that hires out a soap manufacturer to make something for you. There's probably some time left in the contract. They probably have more tons of soap that they're going to make for them. It is what it is at this point as far as the current generation of soap goes. I'd love to think that when they are able to, they will reach out and find a either better manufacturer. I don't know who's manufacturing this soap, or a better recipe. The new soap is made in England, and I know for a fact there are a lot of very nice, very high quality shave soaps that are made in England. So if you would like to keep production in England, you have options. You have plenty of manufacturers that would probably love to contract with you. Now that they're gone, maybe they're jerks to contract with. I don't know. Maybe that's the only soap manufacturer that they could work with. If anybody knows who is manufacturing the new soap, I'd love to see what's going on. I don't know if that is an indication of any of the rest of the soap that they would make or not. Again, maybe it's just the particular formulation that they used for this one. Maybe Czech and Speake cheaped out and didn't want to use good ingredients or wanted to manufacture at a given cost. Who knows? At least I still have a small stash of the old stuff to keep me going for a while. All right, so rant over. This, as you can imagine, was a really good shave, even with this old brush. Now, I mentioned earlier, I don't have too many brushes with the original hair, the original bristle, whatever the case may be. The vast majority of the old brushes that I find are already well beyond their useful life as far as the knot is concerned. This is the only boar brush that I have found where it felt usable. And it definitely feels like a different type of boar, if that makes sense. The bristle itself is extremely thin compared to a modern boar brush, and just has a little bit, I don't know, just a different feel to the way that it works with the soap, the way that it works with the lather. It's also quite a bit smaller than any modern boar brush that I have, at least the diameter of the knot. So that may have something to do with it as well, but the bristles themselves are definitely different than any other modern brush that I've purchased. The hair on my Badger brushes, my vintage Badger where I'm still using the original knot, those are very different as well. It's almost like a completely different type of hair, a completely different fiber. The vintage bristles, or the vintage Badger hair from the brushes that I use, are extremely floppy. Even if the knot is on the smaller size, the bristles are extremely floppy, and they're almost really grabby with each other. I don't know if I can verbally explain what I'm looking at. I might have to use one on a video here to show you for sure, but when giving a light shake to get excess water out with any of my other Badger brushes, it'll shake, come back up, and look just like a normal brush. A little wet, of course, but it looks like a normal brush. With the vintage Badger brushes that I have, give it a little shake and the entire knot looks like it kind of is getting blown over in the wind. It sticks to itself to the point where it keeps the curve. And I don't know if those are just brushes that the knot has gone longer than their operational life should go, or if it's something with the type of badger that was used at that time. If you have vintage badger that you like to use, let me know your experience on it. Have you been able to find badger knots that perform like modern badger knots? Or do you see a difference there as well? I don't know. I'm still looking though. If I find one that performs normal with the quotey fingers, that would be pretty cool. The vintage badger that I have are pretty difficult to get to work well building a lather. They don't build a lather very well. They don't hold the lather very well, but they're somewhat fun to use. Just the fact that it's a vintage brush. Same reason why I like to use the vintage razors, and definitely the same reason I like to use vintage soaps. It's something that probably no one thought would be around this long after they made it. Another odd quirk, if you will, about the Klenzo brush is I'm not 100% positive what it is made out of. I would guess some sort of bakelite, but I've not tested it. I don't know how to determine that by look. I've never done any of the other tests where you can figure out if something is bakelite. But the two-tone of it, the top is kind of a lighter ivory color. The bottom is a pretty deep maroon. If you remember back to the beginning, at the bottom of the brush where the two pieces connect to each other, some of that maroon is kind of coming through on the ivory side of it. That maroon, whatever material it is, it still bleeds color. When I set it down on my countertop, I pick it up, there's a little puddle of maroon water. Not super deep, it's not leaking color all over the place, but it certainly leaves a tint in the water. And where those two pieces connect, I'm pretty sure it's the color, whatever that is, of that maroon material that has been absorbed into the ivory material over the years. I don't know. Any ideas on that? Let me know what's going on. So as I'm wrapping up my shave, I will wrap up the video. If you haven't seen it yet, feel free to jump over to the video with the no version of Czech Speake. You can be disappointed just like the rest of us. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate you spending some time with me today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.